Today on the Topic Show, Jack Smith indicts Trump yet again, defying the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court also shoots down Biden's plan to forgive student loans, aka use tax dollars to pay them off again. Edward Snowden on Telegram's founder being arrested in France. Ben Stiller goes viral for saying he's voting for Kamala and it's time for a change. Vermont Department of Health says it's time to stop using gender-specific terms like boys and girls. Nvidia Q2 results are in and sales are up 120%. Consumer Reports gives their first used car reliability rating. Barbie flip phone to debut. And Boars Head death toll unfortunately ticks up as the product recall expands. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Nvidia's Q2 sales are in, and they're up 122% thanks to the good old data center, and the economy can breathe once again, as this has been one of the most speculated quarterly results, bar none. It was so bizarre this year. It's almost as if it's propping up the whole U.S. economy. There are people who actually had watch parties for it. And truth be told, I had one of my many monitors dedicated to that when I was just working throughout the day earlier this week. And although the sales are up, the stock, well, unfortunately, it went down a little bit. Now, going actually to the results here. Now we're going to pull up some data here. This is actually brought to us thanks to the good old X Twitter. This is Global Markets Investor. He says, quote, Nvidia beats all estimates for Q2 2025, because again, their fiscal year is a little bit different. Say, but revenue beat was the smallest in 1.5 years by only 4.8%. Q3 guidance could also have been better. Nvidia sees Q3 sales of 32.5 billion, plus or minus 2% above estimates of 31.91 billion, but below JPM's whisper of 3.25 billion and below the most optimistic 37.9 billion, which is quite a few to say the least. If we scroll in there, you'll see that the data center came in at 26.272 billion. Gaming came in only at 2.88 billion, which makes sense. A lot of the video game consoles are long to the tooth, so to say. They've been over, you just kind of see demand diminish a little bit as the systems have been out for a little bit while longer. Every time there's a system refresh, they usually do a little bit better. Again, another thing Nvidia did that the competitors did was focus on consumer gaming, which is great for Nvidia because they make money on video game consoles. The manufacturers, they don't. Sony loses money on it, Microsoft loses money on it, Nintendo loses money on it. All the video game console manufacturers usually more often than not lose money on the console, but they do make up for it in sales of the accessories and, of course, the software for all the games. Now, the professional virtualization came in at 454 billion. You have auto at 346, OEM and other at 88, for a total of 30.4 billion, 04 billion. So doing pretty darn good to say the least, especially in this down economy, and everyone's predicting what on earth is going to go this year. Now, going to the article by CNBC, Heath over there says, quote, Nvidia reports 122% revenue growth on surging demand for data center chips, which, remember, there's no such thing as a cloud. It's just someone else's data center or someone else's computer, which is a glorified fancy warehouse with heating and cooling, electricity, and internet, where you have rack mounts upon rack mounts upon rack mounts of servers. So, might not be in your company's data center, but it's in a data center somewhere. And yep, I mean, for a majority of the business, they say, quote, however, they say Nvidia reported earnings after the bell that beat Wall Street expectations and provided stronger than expected guidance for its current quarter. They've been the primary benefactor behind the ongoing investment in artificial intelligence boom, which, yeah, here you can see one of those ginormous. I believe that's going to be, is he holding up the thing next to the Blackwell chip? I can see the founder Jensen over there. Now they say stock dipped, unfortunately. So now, actually, shoot, let's bring up the stock right now. I think this week actually went down about 6%. I mean, granted, the market cap is still about $3 trillion. So it's not like the stock is crashing. Let's see here, though. Yeah, well, 120.39. Granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, that'll be different. That's what the stock market does. But yeah, they so in the past month, it's still up 12.56%. So again, not terrible there. Earnings per share came in at 68 cents adjusted versus the 64 cents that were expected. Revenue was 30.04 billion versus the 28.7 billion expected. Now, Nvidia said it expects about 32.5 billion in the current quarter revenue versus 31.7 billion expected by analysts. According to Street Account, that would be an increase of 8% from a year earlier. So let's see here. Income more than doubled to 16.6 billion or 67 cents per share in the quarter from 6.18 billion or 25 cents per share in a year ago period, which, yeah, hindsight's hard. It's 2020 with investing. I wish I could have taken the time machine and bought Nvidia stock back, years ago. You'd be even more better off. So there's lots of money to be made in manufacturing these products, especially because who knows what's going to come out as the king of AI in terms of the total global market share or dominance. But very similar to podcasting and the gold rush, you look at all the people who actually made money on that, is actually people who manufacture the supplies for those things. It's like Levi Strauss making those jeans for the miners back in the day, or companies like Shure or Blackmagic or Rode making the things for podcasting these days. Actual companies, more often than not, they're not making money, they actually lose money. But the manufacturers always do well, though. Granted, this is not financial advice. So pretty surprising. A lot of people were on the edge of their seats wondering what's going to happen with Nvidia and is it going to speak for the whole global economy. But they are growing. The rate at which they're growing is decreasing, and I think that's going to cause some people for concern. That's probably most likely why we saw the stock drop a little bit. But again, I think the real question is what's going to happen this fiscal or Q3 and Q4 calendar year. Again, usually there's a kind of a natural regression of the economy when it comes to political years and U.S. elections. It happens every 4 years, doesn't matter who's running. This year, at least anecdotally speaking, for my tech company, I've seen more companies pulling back. But let me know in the comments, do you think Nvidia is still going to be the golden child of stock? And, do you think, could they get to the 4 trillion mark before anyone else? Could they get to the 5 trillion mark? What would it take? And then keep in mind, other enterprise large businesses like Microsoft, like the Google or the Alphabet, they are, and actually Facebook Meta, they're parting their own research and development departments onto making their own AI chips so that could start to compete with them, in addition to just chipping away at the sales of which Nvidia does to those companies. But let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Consumer Reports having their first used car reliability list. Yeah, spoiler alert, they're mostly Japanese because they are pretty darn near bulletproof in terms of reliability. So even with all the fancy computers and things they put in cars these days, which inherently make cars less reliable, still can't help but think they kind of peaked into the 2000 era. I mean, anecdotally, my family bought a 2001 Honda Accord new. Unfortunately, it's the straight 4, not the V6, but still, they bought it brand new. And guess what? To this day, it runs like a champ. In the Midwest, mind you, so they got to deal with all the leaky salts and all that kind of stuff, just trying to destroy all the cars. And despite all that, it still runs like a champ, because that's what they do. Now, this comes to us thanks to Jamie over at the Detroit Free Press. It says, quote, Consumer Reports gives first ever ranks of most reliable used cars. Here's the list. Place your bets right now. What do you think is going to be on top? You think it's going to be a lot of BMWs, maybe a lot of Chrysler products? Of course not. Oh, don't make me wrong. Yeah, I don't think so. We'll actually dive in. Going down here. Talk about methodology. And that is hilariously ironic. They have a picture of the 2020 Buick Envision. A viscerally disgusting looking SUV that was enjoyed by hundreds, probably. Now, going into the top one, you're not surprised it's a Lexus. Coming in an overall score of 75. Now, it looks like they analyzed 26 brands when it came to the evaluation of which car do they think is going to be most reliable. And let me see here. Now, in terms of the methodology, they say that the used car market is hot. Blah, blah, blah. They say they did. Here we go. Sorry. Consumer Reports said it based its new ranking on used cars for the reliability of 5 to 10-year-old cars, as informed by the organization's annual auto surveys. The organization asked its members each year what problems they had with their vehicles in the previous 12 months. For the study, Consumer Reports said it focused on problems reported on vehicles manufactured in the 2014 to 2019 model year vehicles from a survey sample of 150,000 vehicles. So that's a pretty darn good sample size, a hell of a lot better than political polls. A lot of those polls are like 1,500 to 2,000 people. So this is a little bit better. Now, coming in at number 1 is Lexus, which, of course, makes sense. Luxury, reliable, and, of course, it's, Toyota. And number 2 is, of course, Toyota, coming in at 72 as well. And they're the only ones to get into the 70th percentile, or the 70 percentages. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't see this one coming. Number 3 is Mazda, which I think personally is known for the Miata, which is a great track toy. A great example of you don't always need a lot of horsepower to have a lot of fun. If I had disposable income, I'd definitely get a Miata. One of the few things that comes with a stick shift, although all cars, of course, should have that by default. And Mazda came in as average score of 59. Coming in at number 4 is Acura, which again is the nice luxury division of Honda, which, yeah, if can't be an old vintage NXX. The 90s ones with the 3 pedals, those are a lot of fun, I'm told. I haven't had the privilege of enjoying one of those vehicles, but it's definitely on my bucket list. Coming in at well, maybe GM is next. No, you know what? I bet BMW. No, I'm kidding. We know it's Honda. So coming in at number 5 is Honda, which is at a score of 55. A little disappointing. It's actually not higher on the list. Again, Acura was at 57. Honda's at 55. That's number 5th. So, but notice the top 5, all headquartered globally in Japan, though, of course, they do have operations in the United States. Fascinatingly enough, all also assembled and manufactured by a non-unionized labor. For instance, I'm, of course, sure. Coming in at number 6 is Buick. How did that happen? That's why they had a disgusting SUV on the picture earlier above, which I apologize is visually disgusting for most of our eyeballs. That came in at 47 score. At BMW, which I can't believe it's in the top 10. I was kind of joking. Definitely not top 5. Came in at 46. Subaru's at 46 as well, at number 8. Number 9th place is Nissan. They've got that BAE energy. The Ultima energy is real. And one of the most entertaining pages on the Facebook. That came in at 45 overall score. Number 10 is Mercedes-Benz, somehow, coming in at 43. Huh. In the top 10, no Fords. Or Lincoln, which is the Ford luxury brand that they still own to this day. Interesting. How far do we have to go to get those companies? So they might just be next. Hey, we got one. Got 42 is Cadillac. Well, number 11, but ranked overall at 42. So, they got 1 or 2 good vehicles left. They got the CT4V Blackwing, CT5V Blackwing. Those things are marvels of engineering, and they still come with a stick shift. They're a lot of fun. Let's see. When will we get to Chevrolet? Number 12 is Mini, which is just Diet BMW because BMW bought them out decades ago to revamp the brand. And, yeah. Dude, bless me. Apologies. And 42 is Mini. Where is Chevrolet? 13 is Lincoln, which of course luxury Ford. That's all these are at 42 rank. Score 42. Cadillac, Mini, and Lincoln all 42. All right, number 14 is Volkswagen coming in at 41, and now we get 15 is Volvo coming in at 40, or at least it's rated as Scorty. Number 16 is Audi at 39. 17 is Hyundai 38. I think they've been, in terms of brands that have grown throughout the past 10, 20 years, in terms of build quality reliability. I think you can make an argument for Hyundai Kia having the best improvement overall. Partially thanks to all the German executives they hired throughout the years to help ramp up the company, but nevertheless. Number 18, there you go, Chevrolet. America. Remember, nothing says America like a French race car driver. Fun fact, that's how Billy Durant bought back General Motors. Teamed up with good old Louis Chevrolet, built up business, and bought his company back. They came in, oh Jesus. So Hyundai and Chevrolet came in at a score of 38. Number 19 is Kia, 38. Number 20 is Ford, also known as Ford. They got a score of 36 out of 100. So of the 20 most reliable used brands, the last place was Ford at 36, which makes sense. Remember, last fiscal quarter, they spent $800 million on warranty work. Also known as terrible. They also have seats and headlights that are mismatched by the people who install them. So they have a lot of work when it comes to the reliability of Ford, and Jim Farley's been saying they need to work on that for years. They keep trying. I mean, they're trying to expand to EV and doing more hybrids, all that kind of stuff. They could just focus on, if anything, just focus on one thing: just make a reliable vehicle. That's what Toyota's done for decades, and it's paid off for them in dividends. So, I guess not too surprising. Ford is in last place. Chevrolet, I thought Chevrolet would realistically more be around 12, 13, which again you could argue. I mean, GM owns Cadillac as well, but yeah, guess you shouldn't be too surprised. Now, let me know, are you surprised? Do you see your brand here? Do you think they should have been rated higher or lower? And again, it's a pretty darn good sample size, 150,000 vehicles. That's pretty compelling. Good old Honda's still up in the top 10. But yeah, let me know your comments and your feedback. And would you ever buy one of these vehicles? As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have a Barbie phone to debut, and it will in fact be a flip phone. The retro phone to debut. Although, I'm not sure how many people will buy it, but again, it was a $1 billion box office hit. There's a lot of, oh wait a minute, it's about a year ago the movie came out, so a little bit delayed. However, in terms of product success, one of the best products ever made, conceivably, would be GoldenEye on the 007 GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. That actually came out over a year after the movie came out, and was the best games in history. Maybe this will be the same case. I mean, probably not, but let's go ahead and dive on in. This comes to us thanks to Will Shanklin, who's a writer at the good old Yahoo News. They say, quote, the retro Barbie flip phone arrives early October, only 15 months after the movie. It's an eye-staring pink with accessories including a beaded phone strap, stick-on charms, and retro Barbie stickers. There you can see gals in ridiculously looking sunglasses, and they're all holding the phone. It does in fact say Barbie on it. It is bright pink, so you're not going to lose that. Unfortunately, you can't use that excuse when you try to get a new phone. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost it. Looks like a 90s phone. Got a little retro stuff looking there. It says manufactured by HMD. They note that, quote, HMD's Barbie phone, a novelty device for the Y2K nostalgic hot pink aficionados. Unquote. That's a thing? I know it was. State final launches and pricing information. The Mattel-sanctioned champion of tardy movie tie-in launches in October, only 15 months after Greta Gerwig's movie theaters for $129. Jeez. That's a funny name. The handset is a creation of Human Mobile Devices, also known as HMD, which currently owns the branding rights to Nokia phones. Rather than the smartphone replacement, the Barbie phone is a retro-style flip phone, previously the Nokia-esque. With a T9 keyboard and no third-party apps in sight, the company pitches the perfect tool to live your best life and take a vacation from the smartphone. Which, back then, I say back in my day, you really had to put an effort into texting people. Because again, the T9 pattern, if you want to just one word, you have to click those buttons multiple times to get to which letter you actually want to associate with it. I mean, back in my day, you had to work hard if you weren't sending paragraphs of text to people. Let's just say that much. There you can see a little up close picture of that phone. And they say, quote, you won't find any social media apps, but the phone will still make calls and send text. When powering the headset up, you'll be greeted by Hey Barbie voice before you fire up Malibu Snake for tribute to OG mobile gaming. Its keypad in Barbie pink, of course, has hidden designs like palm trees, hearts, flamingos that light up in the dark. Because why the hell not? Yeah, $129. And be multi-carrier, so they're not locked into one. So it could be AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. If you really want, you can actually pre-order it on their website. If you really want to make sure you got one of these. And again, I mean, for a kid's product, it certainly makes sense. I still have not found a single compelling reason why any child should have a smartphone, with the negatives just far outweighing the positives. But yeah, would you ever buy a Barbie phone? I mean, it's been a long time since the movie, but still one of the most well-recognized brands, bar none, in toy history. And there are some people who want to disconnect from all the smartphones that track. I mean, they track more data than the freaking government these days. All the apps you have on there, and all the telemetry, all the things they do, and all the times they're listening. So let me know, would you actually buy a Barbie phone for yourself, or maybe your kid or nephew or niece? And do you think it'll be a commercial failure or success? Will they actually make a profit on this? Because again, licensing is not cheap, and usually those, depending on how to negotiate it, usually those charges are paid up front. But let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the culture part podcast, you have Ben Stiller saying that he's voting for Kamala because it's time for change. Huh, interesting. I don't know if Ben maybe, again, he's a famous actor, people know him. I mean, maybe he's been on vacation and only had a Barbie flip phone on a remote island, so he might not realize Kamala's been involved in politics for most of her life, and past 3 years she's been in the White House, presumably doing things. Yet he says it's time for change. Huh. Well, maybe he will. Maybe he will confront us with logic and reason and give us a compelling reason why we need to vote for Kamala. I mean, probably not, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. This comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, one of the most viral things this week. I quote, Ben Stiller on why he's voting for Kamala, I believe it's time for change. And he says, who wants to tell him? There you can see Ben Stiller, I believe he's at an airport. Let's see here. Make that volume up.
Just a quick question while you came, and what you like about Harris' platform?
Just very excited about moving forward and all the energy and excitement that's around this movement right now. So that's why I'm here, because it's time for change, and it seems like it's happening.
You think she'll be able to sustain the momentum post-convention?
For sure.
You think the race is going to be close?
It's going to be close, but everybody's motivated to work and make it happen. So, and she and Tim Walz are just incredible candidates. All right.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, man. See you.
Mentally vacuous as always. Didn't give us one compelling reason. Oh yeah, I think she's great because she did A, B, or C, or her plans are great because I believe we need to tax the hell out of people, take away their freedom of speech and guns. As Tim Walz has famously said, there's no guarantee of free speech. There is. It's called the Bill of Rights. It's called the First Amendment. I know they don't read things like that anymore when it comes to most politicians, but thank God the Supreme Court does. And this is pretty about get. I mean, on this platform alone, this post alone got 4.3 million views and 32,000 likes, which, again, is a friendly reminder to like this video and subscribe. Or give it a downvote and let me know what I can do better. As always, appreciate the feedback if it's constructive. Now, going down to some of the top comments, AKA says, quote, a change, we had 3.5 years of her, unquote, getting 2.6 thousand likes. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, he said he wants change, lol, she's been in the office for almost 4 years, getting 10,000. I thought we can get 10,001 or make it to 11,000 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, how is changing, electing president, let me see here, despite grammar, I will attempt to read it properly, in theory. How is electing president that person who's currently vice president a change? Getting 1,000 likes. Patriot Proud USA says, by change he means he wants a communist revolution, getting 319 likes. Let's see here. So this is a parody newspaper ad. Just a Dude says, all morons, and as picture Kamala says, I'll fix things if you vote for me in office, says woman currently in office. Getting 2.3 thousand likes. Sean Ferris says, and now we know why he's the guy who plays the dumbass in every movie. Getting 3.4 thousand likes. Which, and I mean, not necessarily. There's a lot of people who don't act like they do on screen when it comes to Hollywood. Although it is kind of funny that he does happen to play all those dumb roles. I mean, pretty much everyone in Hollywood is a leftist. I'm not surprised he's cheering for Kamala. It's just extra comical. He has no compelling reason of why to cheer for her or why to vote for her. Again, even if I don't agree with someone's vote, if they can give me 3 reasons as to someone's track record or their ideals of why they support a candidate, I'll at least respect an educated vote, even if I don't agree with it. Fascinatingly enough, all these street interviews with people, and let me know if you want me to do street interviews. I've been thinking about trying to get it out there. I mean, it seems like we're after that. They just go, oh yeah, she's gonna be good. I'm with her. Vote blue no matter who. It's like, why not vote on policies? Wouldn't that be smarter? But maybe I'm just an optimist thinking people should vote like that. Bruce Bilal says Hollywood turds are so dumb. He has no idea what he's doing. It's time for a woman's dum-dums. 808. See here. Eric Peasley says, Ben, I have to tell you that Kamala Harris is currently the VP of the U.S., getting 274 likes. I Love American News says, I agree. Vote Trump 2024. Says, it's a little infographic. It says, under Kamala Harris, 15 plus million illegal immigrants, 30 tons of deadly fentanyl, 360 people on the terror watch list have entered the U.S. They got 496 likes. And I always wonder how many people are really compelled by people or celebrity endorsements in general. I've always been pretty skeptical. Well, Turtle also says Ben Stiller's a woke joke, getting 139 likes. Which, again, if Ben Stiller is shilling something like an acting coach or a casting agent, might make more sense. I mean, I'm not in that industry, but it makes sense why people listen to him. But it is funny that people kind of worship celebrities like that. And, oh yeah, Ben Stiller, I forgot about this. This social space says Ben Stiller also hates himself and wishes he's black instead of Jewish. So there's that. Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. He was on, was it an interview with someone talking about how awesome Kamala is. And he actually said, like, I wish I was black instead of Jewish. One of the most bizarre statements I have ever heard out of Hollywood, which is saying something. So I'm not sure how much is going to move the needle in terms of additional people going to start supporting Kamala Harris or Tim Walz just because of Ben Stiller's endorsement, or if the same people who would already, I mean, how much value was it for him to go to the DNC and do all that stuff? Do you think it made a difference at all? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the Vermont Department of Education saying that it's time to stop using terms like sons and daughters because they're not inclusive. This comes to us thanks to the good old libs of TikTok and the good old X Twitter. And she says, quote, the Vermont Department of Education put out a post informing families that they shouldn't call their child son or daughter because it isn't inclusive enough. Yes, this is real. And hilariously enough, the Vermont Department of Health publicly posted this. It looks like they did it on X Twitter. And this is from the Vermont Department of Health. Said, quote, the language we use matters. When talking about family, it's important to use terms that cover the many versions of what family can look like. Sign up for our monthly health equity newsletter, tips, and more. I guess we should be surprised also that they have a little animated graphic of a family, and there's only 2 adults and 1 child. I'm actually surprised at that. Granted, maybe in a couple fiscal quarters, I'll be deemed hateful, and I have to change that graphic as well. Now, they have a little infographic that says inclusive language for families. And they say, quote, use child or kid instead of daughter or son. This is gender neutral and can describe a child who may not be someone's legal son or daughter. Say family members instead of household members. Not all families live in the same house. Yeah, well, I guess if the father's on military leave, that'd be an outlier. So they say, quote, think divorced or incarcerated parents, step siblings, etc. Yeah, probably not. So they want us to use more favorable language to be more accepting of those situations. As a society, it seems pretty mentally vacuous to encourage those types of negative situations. And again, we can't think culturally. Look at the slippery slope, no longer theory, fact. As soon as the government started to attack the nuclear family by incentivizing mechanisms that would actually tear them apart, there's a lot more crime, a lot more drug use, a lot more bad things in society in the United States. Can't but think we should probably, if anything, from a cultural perspective, encourage nuclear families. Now, they also say, quote, state family rather than extended family. What? They say, quote, often grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins are important parts of the core family unit. What? Is this just more Marxism? They just want to talk everything's the family? I mean, I'm not sure if they've never seen a dictionary or if the dictionaries have rewritten themselves in true Orwellian fashion as they do from time to time. Look at you, Webster. Now they say, quote, again, often grandparents. I mean, that's quite literally the definition of an extended family. I mean, how mentally vacuous are these people or corrupt? I mean, quite literally, your family is, your parents. I mean, yeah, your parents, siblings, then your wife, your kids. Then the extended is literally, I mean, the aunts, uncles, grandparents. And then they say hashtag health equity tip. Yeah. Government's getting more bizarre as we go on every day. Got 1 million views though, went pretty viral. And also got 25,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, this shit is insanity, getting 1.4 thousand likes. AKA also says, what's wrong with these people? Typical liberal state, getting 462 likes. Libercat Media TM says, oh, Vermont, doe your inclusivity. And it's an infographic, or rather just a picture, actually. It says, DEI must DIE, unquote, getting 519 likes. Paul Zupa also says, don't raise children in Vermont, getting 866 likes. The Texas one says, Democrats love government being their daddy from cradle to grave, getting 469 likes. Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made there. And they can't look at the statistics. Once the government started giving money to single parents, especially you look at the rates in single motherhoods, the rates exponentially increased after the government set up those mechanisms, which is why I personally always think the most effective way to help out communities and people in those unusual and sad situations is always best done on a local level through your local nonprofit or your local church or just local people in the neighborhood, which is overwhelmingly infinitely more effective than the government. I also have Craig Chamberlain saying, quote, the only conclusion I can draw is that the progressives can't pronounce anything today. However, you click the subscribe button, it may very well help with my speaking aptitudes. Can't help but notice when I first started the show, I had no subscribers, and yet, as I slowly but surely gained more subscribers, I've become better at speaking. Not a lot, some might argue just a modicum of improvement, but an improvement nevertheless, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, Craig Chamberlain says, quote, the only conclusion I can draw is that progressivism generally breaks people's ability to think rationally or coherently, or makes them comfortable with not thinking rationally or coherently, unquote, getting 551 likes. Actually, St. Clair, somebody says WTF, getting 264 likes. Any contrarian statements here? Not too many contrarian statements at all, actually, now I keep scrolling. Someone simply has the Elon meme where it says, go after yourself, getting 30 likes. I was gonna say, I guess most likely none of us live in Vermont, heaven forbid. But if you are a listener from Vermont, your tax dollars at work, and yeah, can't but wonder if this will ever get pushed back, or if this will just be culturally more accepted and more widespread in the United States. I'm a little skeptical, but we keep seeing more and more of these types of posts. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Edward Snowden on the Telegram founder's arrest by the country of France, which is going to be not good for free speech. Now, Telegram founder, ironically, when he had dual citizenship, he was a citizen in Russia and France, and he fled Russia, and he founded the company. He fled Russia because he's worried, oh yeah, the government's oppressive, they're going to throw me in jail for free speech. Ironically, France is the one that did that, because he won't acquiesce to the government, giving in to every government whim and handing over all the data. Now, Edward Snowden is probably one of the most well-known defense contractors in history, and of course, thanks to him, we know how much the government was illegally spying on U.S. citizens. Granted, I don't think anyone was actually held accountable or fired because of that, but nevertheless, he was the one who really broke the story about PRISM and all the government spying, as well as teaming up with all the tech companies. And now, Edward Snowden, Russia basically granted him citizenship, and he hasn't left the country since, because he'd be arrested and or probably, unfortunately, his life would be ended by government agents if he were to. Now, Snowden says, quote, and this, of course, is good on his good old X-Twitter, says, quote, "First they came for TikTok, and I did not speak, because I'm not a 12-year-old. Then they came for Telegram, and I did not speak out, because I was using another app, or sixth, I don't know. Then they came for literally every other platform for dissent, and I did not speak out, because, bro, how the F could I, that's the entire point. Wake up, wake. Oh, he just says wake up, way. Got 3.8 million views and 92,000 likes. Because, yeah, I can't help but notice more and more platforms are falling like dominoes and acquiescing to government requests to either censor people directly, shut them down, or just give up all their data. And they're very, 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 you could count them on one hand, free speech platforms these days, as they come more and more under attack. Now, one of the first comments comes from AKA saying, quote, "People need to wake up. Trump wins this election or the world is literally over," getting 5.8 thousand likes. Also, Zupa says, quote, "We either use our voices or they'll be taken from us," getting 892 likes. Florida 1 says, "We are now in the frogs in the boiling water. Right now, it's pretty darn hot in the UK," getting 2.9 thousand likes. Friendly reminder, they're arresting people for memes over there. And in Canada, not only do they arrest you, they also fine you if you make fun of politicians and their dictatorial policies, or how they bear resemblance to the dictator, the Castro family. Look at you, Justin. You also have Tuck42 says that Tim Walz guy is saying that freedom of speech is not guaranteed. True, getting 3.2 thousand likes because he cannot read, or he's just evil, or both. Again, the Bill of Rights is a pretty darn good guarantee of most freedoms, including the right of free speech. Yeah, Tim Walz literally said, "Hey, you don't have a guaranteed freedom for hate speech or misinformation." Hate speech is disgusting, but you have a right to do it. Misinformation, that's just a new propaganda word for anything that the government doesn't like. Calvin noticed a lot of things that the government has historically labeled as misinformation turned out to be true all along. So yeah, it's almost unfathomable, and it's heartbreaking that people are supporting Tim Walz. When he also had police officers shoot people with paintball guns if they disobeyed the lockdown curfews during the pandemic. They were standing on the porch, and the police went around and they shot with paintball guns. Yeah, how anyone with it is mind-blowing that there are people supporting that guy. You have Kagan's Looking Glass saying, quote, "Once they finish with Telegram, X, and Rumble, they will then come after the mouths that speak the truth and not scripted words you are supposedly to abide by. We are working as hard as we can to prevent this. This seems like a growing army." Getting 3,000 likes. Moonsoon says, "Wake up and stop censorship." It's an AI-generated picture of Trump and Elon standing with good old AR-15 with an ACOG. It's AI, so it's not really the brand ACOG, but it's got a nice scope on it. And they're dressed in tactical gear, and then the rifles have American flag butt stocks on them as well. And it says, quote, "Bringing back free speech, one mean tweet at a time." Got 1.3 thousand likes. Kozak Gadandi says, "Now say something bad about the Russian military and see what happens." Getting 1.5 thousand likes. That'd be a good test, actually. Will Snowden do it? Let's see here. Any contrarian statements here? Holden Robinson says, the fact that Russia is protecting you tells us all we need to know. Getting 286 likes, a contrarian statement. There we go. Jeff Carlson says, quote, protect free speech, and cuts out, getting 925 likes. Chen Wahusha says, well said, getting 488 likes. Yeah, well, I think that's a good question in the comments. I mean, I think culturally speaking, more and more people are starting to use these third-party applications like Telegram, like X, Twitter, kind of really exploding in popularity. And I think partially because, you get more additional information, there's more free speech. I mean, do you think it'll get to the point where people actually start to get active and, write to their politicians and tell more of their friends, like, hey, we need to, really pay attention to the world trying to crack down on free speech? It's probably one of the biggest things of our time. Do you think that'll be something that'll be valued in the upcoming presidential election in the U.S.? Let me know in the comments. And then, of course, do you think, Edward Stone do you think actually the founder of Telegram will he escape France? Will they even make an example of him or imprison him forever like Julian Assange? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast here, Jack Smith trying to indict Donald Trump yet again, even though the Supreme Court already shot it down. But nevertheless, let's try to do it again, just like the student loan thing. Spoiler for a little later in the show about the other topic. Now, this is actually brought to us thanks to Eric Trump on the good old X Twitter. Oh, unless the screen doesn't load. All right, there you go. So Eric Trump says, quote, indicted again, they will stop at nothing. And this is the court filing, says case 123 or CR 00257, document 226, filed August 27, 2024, page 1 of 36. This quote, in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, United States versus Donald Trump defendant. Say criminal number 23, violations. Count 1, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Count 2, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Count 3, obstruction and attempt to obstruct official proceedings. Count 4, conspiracy against rights. And pretty viral, got about 600,000 views and 15,000 likes. Which, what are the odds he's actually going to be prosecuted over this? Or is just yet another manipulation to make sure that he has to utilize his time and resource allocations to being in court versus actually going out there and campaigning, which, even though he was proven innocent earlier this year, they successfully stole his time and money in terms of he had to be in those courts. He couldn't be at rallies. People would argue that's also the definition of election interference, especially when you have some of these same charges literally against other politicians and they're not, the same actions by different politicians in which they were not charged. But Trump is one that they're trying to lock up in jail. Now, one of the first comments comes from Cash Loren, says, quote, they're going to indict him right now into the Lighthouse, getting 124 likes. Also says another blatant attempt at election interference, getting 231 likes. And that's interesting thing. Every time this happens, Trump does raise more money. And historically, look past a year, he gets a small bump of the polls every time he's indicted. Now, the Texas one also says Republicans are quiet as hell, getting 472 likes, which is also because there's a lot of useless, pejoratively known as rhinos, also known as Republican in name only. They don't actually do anything. They say they're Republican, but they don't actually vote on it or have the values of them. Luke Zalewski says LL, getting 116 likes. Art Candy says your father is a criminal. Cope getting 4.9 thousand likes. That might be the most popular one. She also got 157 comments. Let's see here. One of the first comments to her was America Man says everyone is a criminal under this communist regime. They will just bastardize the law for political gain. Getting 63 likes, which they did rewrite some of those laws so that Trump could be charged. Fascinatingly enough, especially the classification of an expense, as well as I forgot the gal in New York, the crazy gal who claimed that he had abused her. Yeah, decades later, they rewrote the law so she could all of a sudden bring those charges against him, even though they didn't have any evidence. Let's see here. Ritsu also says eat some fudge rounds, getting 13 likes. Crystal Clear says the whole Democratic Party is criminals. Cope getting 103 likes. Mr. Matt says Art Candy is a dude pretending to be a little girl. Weird. Getting 3 likes. Here. Deontay Pullman says Art Candy is a Democrat whore, getting 36 likes. Patriot says, LOL, we have a radical left troll here. Go enjoy your mandatory vaccines, getting 28 likes. So this person, Art Candy was definitely not, well, the ratio about not by the number of likes, but the number of comments, certainly. Going back to the main comment sections, Sarah Rose says he will prevail, getting 203 likes. Let's see. Another contrarian statement. Old dude fella says, do the crime. Daddy is going to do the time. Getting 247 likes. Here. G.O. Boy of the Tinfoil Hat Society. Interesting name. Nevertheless, he says, quote, why is no one pointing out that Garland had no authority to appoint Jack Smith? Representative Tom Massey made this abundantly clear, getting 38 likes. People saying F Jack Smith, getting between 50 and 200 likes. Let's see here. So, a couple contrarian statements, but it's well more than 50%, 60% actually in support of Trump. And yeah, I mean, do you think this will actually, pan out? How do you think? How many millions of dollars and how many hundreds of hours might Trump have to invest into fighting this? And do you think it'll actually be successful in terms of taking his time away? And do you think it'll actually work for the Democrats? I mean, it's increasing Trump's popularity every single time. Will this be the one time where it backfires and now everyone's going to turn against Trump? I'm a little skeptical. I don't think that's going to be a prudent. I don't think it's going to pan out like that. But let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: the Supreme Court rules yet again that Biden cannot buy votes. Use taxpayer dollars to pay off all the student loans. Student loan forgiveness, which again is one of the most controversial political things we've seen in the past couple of years, and is also one of the things where, yeah, a lot of kids, including myself, all the teachers, which again, never trusted teachers unions, they said, oh yeah, you have to go to college to be successful. You have to, biggest lie ever told. And a lot of people are stuck with those burdensome student loan debts. Sometimes it's crazy, like almost loan shark interest rates. Like, completely understand why people want to get away from them. I always tell people, good rule of thumb is if you still got college loans, you should still live like a college kid, and just rice and beans, just grind it out. Which, shoot, that's what I've been doing. Just work like hell and pay them off. Because again, you took out the loans, you should pay them off. And yet there are some people who say, well, Joe the plumber, he didn't go to college, he should pay for your college. Because again, that's where the money is going to come from. It's going to come from taxes. Also a good way to buy votes. So I understand why Biden's trying to do this. Now, this comes with thanks to Greg Price. He says, quote, breaking, the Supreme Court ruled against Biden to his plan to unilaterally use tax dollars to cancel student loan debt again. It says, pull up the actual official document. Touch screens are great until the moment they don't work and they're trash. They say, quote, again, it says, order in pending case, Biden President U.S. ETA Missouri, says the application to vacate injunction presented to Justice Kavanaugh and him referred to the court is denied. The court expects that the Court of Appeals render its decision with appropriate dispatch. Got about 600,000 views and 21,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Craig Chamberlain saying, quote, the left, Trump is going to be a literal tyrant. Also, the left loses the legal battle for the student loan debt with COVID mandates because they're unconstitutional. 192 likes. Cash Loren says you borrow the money, you pay it back in 55 likes. American Papa Bear says his vote buying scam is illegal, getting 73 likes. Proud Patriots US says the Democrats are generally on the verge of destroying America, getting 105 likes. Let's see. Rocco Nation said trying to buy votes 439 failed. I wonder if the approach will use for 440. Getting 72 likes. Well, they're giving away free houses, apparently. Kamala said, $25,000 if it's the first time buying your house. Which is a great way to increase the cost of every house in America by $25,000. See here. Burt Macklin says, good, pay your own bills, getting 21 likes. That is a parody from the Parks and Recreation show. So it's a verified account. Let's see. Any contrarian statements there? Because again, there are a lot of students I'm sure they would just vote for Biden just to get their college loans paid off. Again, some people have tons of hundreds of thousands of dollars in underwater lesbian basket weaving theory, and they're desperate to get those out. It's the one type of loan you actually cannot get dismissed in bankruptcy court, which is why it's extra controversial. Because again, you gotta pay them no matter what, and they will take it out of your paycheck. There we go. We have Steluso saying, "Checkmate commies." You got the, what is it called? The pixelated glasses. Just going over Supreme Court justices, getting one like. So, again, not too surprised that the court ruled this way. I don't know how many people are going to still vote for Biden, or I guess in this case, voting for Kamala, because they think that she's going to override the Supreme Court or somehow get this approved. But yeah, Supreme Court shot it down yet again. Let me know, do you think, I mean, will we ever like have a finite decision when it comes to forgiving student loans? Will that become like the next abortion issue where no matter what the current law is, we just kind of debate it for decades? I mean, the problem is not being fixed. The colleges are not decreasing the cost of goods sold, also not really improving the quality. So, I mean, the student loans aren't going down. So let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Boars Head. Well, unfortunately, that recall is now increased to 9 deaths as the meat is unfortunately still being consumed. Apologies about that. This brought to us thanks to CBS Evening News on the good old X Twitter, in which they say, quote, Listeria outbreak documents obtained by CBS News revealed that the federal investigators flagged numerous violations at the Virginia Boars Head facility linked to the deadly recall of the deli meats. The outbreak has led to now 9 deaths and sickened dozens. There you can see their Boars Head logo with her giving a quick little summary here.
Tonight, CBS News is reporting alarming new details in the nationwide listeria outbreak linked to recalled Boars Head deli meats. We've obtained documents that show federal inspectors flagged dozens of violations at the Boars Head plant in Virginia linked to the recall, including mold, mildew, and insects repeatedly found at the facility. At least 57 people have now been treated at hospitals in more than a dozen states. The number of deaths has jumped to 9, making this the largest outbreak of listeria since 2011 outbreak that was caused by cantaloupe. Tonight,
Yep. Again, if you see, shoot, I mean, in this case, don't even look at the barcode or the batch manufacturer date or anything like that. Just see that logo in your fridge, toss in the trash, or if you're British, toss in the dustbin. It's not worth the risk, obviously. And I'm surprised to go more viral. I got about 116,000 views, as well as 512 likes. And yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to kill the brand, but it's been dragged through the mud for the past couple of weeks, and the situation, unfortunately, is only getting worse to the point where it's quite literally becoming more and more deadly of an instance. Now, some of the top comments comes from, here, Salvadori Ventura saying, right, processed meat is fine, but the FDA says raw milk is going to kill us all. Getting 1 like. See here. Not like it. Michael Theakris says, interesting, the timing is after the Dems were just talking about consolidation of meat packing plants because of price gouging. Haha. Getting 4 likes. And a lot of people are starting to talk about how they have a policy of hiring migrants as well. Also have to Carbon says this is what happens when you don't pay your workers a livable wage and don't keep up with the rules and regulations. Getting 14 likes. Vix says, what do you I'm going to read it exactly as they typed it, grammar be damned. What do you think allowing meat producers to conduct their own inspections would lead to this? Getting 11 likes. Diane says, how's this still happening? Getting 3 likes. Elizabeth says, airport kiosks carry Boars Head sandwiches. Getting 2 likes. Definitely want to buy those now. Voting is my superpower says, Boars Head charges $18.99 for their deli turkey meat and ham. Mold and inspections repeatedly found. Oh, hell no. Getting 8 likes. $18.99, and granted, that's marketing because it's really $19 plus because you have to pay the extortion, the sales tax on it. Yeah, so what used to be, I used to think, granted, I wasn't a big consumer of the products, but I traditionally had the image of them being a more premium product or more premium brand when it comes to the kind of deli meats. And unfortunately, having more and more recalls, now 50 plus people have gotten sick, and now 9 people have passed away. I gotta say, Boars Head, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.